Hey YouTube, it's Corlash1990, and today I am bringing another Druid deck, and this is an update to my Mud Druid deck that I had in the past. With some major changes though, since the deck sizes are increasing to 60-30 after Gothic releases. So I took out the pigs basically and added in some more relevant stuff. So anyway, I'll go over the avatar briefly, and then go over the atlas and spellbook like normal. So here's Druid. You can tap or play or draw a site. And if you don't control Tawny, you can summon Tawny to that site. And Tawny is a unique beast with Airborne and Spellcaster and can't defend with 1 power. And then Druid's other ability is you can summon Bruin here and then flip this card. And then Druid flips into this. And you can tap player, draw a site. And then whenever an enemy enters a nearby site, it takes 1 damage. And then Bruin is a 4 power unique beast with wild near your avatar. Bruin takes damage for them. So it's a good little protective shield on top of giving you a pretty big beat stick as well. So we'll put Druid up over here, scoot this off, and we'll go into the Atlas. So I'm playing this card. I do not know how to pronounce this card's name. Brosilinade, something like that. But anyway, it has Genesis, untap nearby fairies, tap nearby mortals, give nearby beasts stealth. So this is purely in here to give our beasts stealth. We have Mirror Realm to copy any useful sites that we may have in play. 2 Crossroads, the search for, again, just our sites that we need. Pretty much every sorcery deck I have plays these 3 cards. And that's it for our non-threshold providing sites. For our multicolored sites, I am running 3 Aqueducts since this is a mud deck. Figured 3 of those is a must. And then 2 Valley of Delight. Again, this is another very, very good site. Play and you choose whatever threshold you want and it gains that attribute. Now for the Earth sites, set this off. Running 2 copies of Varmint Warrens. And beasts here can't be targeted by enemies, so good little protective thing there. I am running 3 copies of Briar Patch, and these are the fancy, like, dust promo ones. And it has whenever an enemy unit enters or leaves this site, it takes 1 damage. That doesn't seem too crazy, but it is more relevant with some cards that we have in the deck. I'm also running 3 copies of Impenetrable Cops. It says projectiles can't enter this site from outside. So it's a good little protective site to stop your opponent from just shooting projectiles to kill you when you're on death's door. Good little area to just camp out in. And then finally, I am running 1 copy of Valley. Again, if you don't want to run Valley, I love the artwork on the draft site, so I play them. Literally run anything else that provides Earth Threshold. For the water sites, I have Tadpole Pool. On Genesis, if you have 3 water sites in play, or 3 water threshold, you summon 3 submerged frog tokens here. Also running a copy of Maelstrom to help draw our stuff in, to draw our opponent's stuff in to trigger movements for other cards that we have in our deck that care about that. 2 copies of Kelp Cavern. On Genesis, look at your bottom 3 spells. Put 1 of them on the top of your spellbook. 3 copies of Babbling Brook. On Genesis, until your next turn, minions are disabled while the top nearby sites, so making them lose all their abilities and stuff is pretty cool. 4 copies of Pond. This is a beast-heavy deck, so also showing off that foil pond I have. So this site is probably one of the better ones in the deck. On Genesis, this turn, the next beast cast this turn is 1 less, ignoring thresholds. So it's like one of the towers basically. And then finally, I am running Stream. Again, if you don't want to run Stream, run anything else that provides water threshold. And that is the Atlas. Pretty straightforward. Some synergistic stuff, protective stuff, and yeah, just trying to provide those thresholds. And I'll keep that up there. Now we're going into the spellbook, and I'll separate it like I did in the previous video, where I'll do artifacts, spells, and minions. And I'll go over the minions first because it is a big chunk of the deck. I think it's 38 minions I run in here. It's running a White Heart, 3 cost, 2 power minion. Other minions and locations nearby can't be attacked. So again, fitting that defensive theme. 2 copies of Wappletinger. I just really like saying the name of this card. It is quite funny, but still, it's not bad. A 4 cost has +1 power for each of your dead beasts. Good little late game card there. While this isn't a beast, it's one of my favorite cards in the game. It is Pudge Butcher, 4 cost, 5 power, immobile, and it can tap, shoot a projectile. If it hits a unit, drag it to this location. Pudge may fight it. So again, it's more movement stuff on our opponent's things, which we do care about, on top of just being one of the best minions in the game. Running 3 copies of Autumn Unicorn, 3-drop, 4 power vanilla minion. Just a good beat stick. This whole deck's minion theme is like mid-range beat sticks for days. And yeah, here's 4 copies of Brown Bears. A 4-drop, 4 power vanilla. Just more beef. We're trying to play all the beef we can. 4 copies of Land Surveyor to help draw into the sites that we need, because we really do value those protective sites that we have. Nelly Longarms, it's like a baby Pudge Butcher, but it can submerge minions and kill them, which is relevant. Less useful, if I could talk, than hitting things that do have like submerge or avatars and such, compared to Pudge Butcher. Questing Beast, another good beat stick card. 5-drop, 5 power, lethal stealth. At the end of your turn, it can take a step. 2 copies of Salmon of Knowledge, because this is one of the most fun cards in Sorcery. 3-drop, 0 power, submerge, waterbound. Other units at this site may fish, and they gain the ability to tap and then roll a d20. And on a 14+, you banish Salmon of Knowledge and draw 3 spells. So there's nothing more thematic than putting a Salmon of Knowledge on your stream and then having your Brown Bear try to fish it out. I've done that a couple times. Same with the cat getting the salmon, and it's just so satisfying when it works. 3 copies of Giant Shark, another beat stick unit for us. 5-drop, 5 power, submerge, waterbound, and whenever another unit enters or moves between sites in this body of water, Giant Shark moves to that unit and fights it. So stuff like Pudge Butcher, stuff like Nelly Longarms that drag them through your bodies of water that Giant Shark is in. Giant Shark will swim to it and then fight it. So very, very efficient, good water unit in my opinion. And it's a beast too, so we can play for cheaper off the pond. And 3 copies of Lugbog Cat, 3-drop, 4 power, can be cast to any water site. That includes your opponents if they are running water, which my girlfriend is always playing mono water decks, and water is very popular in the format right now, so it's a very, very solid unit. 4 copies of Flank Fonk, a 4-drop, 3 power, lethal submerge. Again, I'm also liking running things with submerge because a lot of people run Drown or like Atlantean Fate. So having some stuff that doesn't just auto die to that is quite nice. 4 copies of Deep Sea Mermaids for some card draw. 3-drop, 1 power, submerge. And on Genesis, draw your bottom host spell. And then just some random stuff, just like in the Death Speaker deck. I'm running these because I have them. He's actually quite good in here because there's a lot of beasts, but like this one's just meh, and this one's okay. It's a defensive card more than anything, but I'll go over them briefly here. Sir Yvain is a 3 power, 4 defense. With a Lance, Genesis, choose an allied beast, and Sir Yvain and his beast companion have +2 power while adjacent to each other. So it is kind of cool when you choose Bruin with this. They give Bruin that buff up to 6 power because it is a beast. And it's also unique and it's quite theme fitting. Gives Druid some more survivability. Not too shabby. We have Sir Ironside. It's a 4-drop, 4 power. Has +3 power during enemy turns. So a good little defender. And then Sir Bedivere, a 3 power, 4 defense. If Sir Bedivere is carrying an artifact at the start of your turn, draw a card. We do have artifacts to give him, so that is relevant. I wouldn't bank on it though, Again, I have this mountains of those cards and I have no idea what to do with them, so I'm playing the ones that I do have. And that is it for the minions for the deck. we'll get into the artifacts, and then we'll get into the spells. So for artifacts, it's pretty straightforward, just like Death Speaker, Philosopher's Stone, the cores, the Four Waters Paradise, and then the four mixes. This deck's cost curve is kind of high, around like 4 to 5 on average. So playing these is quite key to get all of our stuff out, efficiently and not just get steamrolled in the early game. These are, I would say, more useful in this deck than Death Speaker, but if you don't have these, I would even say this, don't worry about it. Unless you want to invest in the game that much to get these. These are cheap and plentiful, and they're just as good. So be fine with those. And I'm also running 2 copies of Drums of War. Very, very good with Druid. A 5-drop artifact, basically. And it says damage dealt to minions nearby is lethal. And why that's relevant is Druid's second ability on his flip side, saying whenever an enemy enters a nearby site, it takes 1 damage. That damage is now lethal with Drums of War, so it just auto kills any minion that comes to him. So very, very good defensive tech there. And that's all the artifacts, not too many. I guess, well, maybe more than usual. I don't know. They're all very, very key and useful stuff. And then the last bit of the deck is the spells that we play, which isn't really all that many. 2 copies of Assorted Animals, cost X. Search your spellbook for different beasts with combined mana cost of X or less. Reveal them, put them into your hand, shuffle your spellbook. So late game, this can draw you a ton of cards. Or mid game, it can search you out some like key beasts that you're looking for if you're needing more beat stick power, or if you want to get a questing beast. If you're looking for even more card draw, it kind of gets you whatever you need, more or less. Very, very good card to Druid, though. Got 4 copies of Common Sense. It's a 2-drop that searches your spellbook for an ordinary card and puts it into your hand. Very, very good card. It's like a pseudo demonic tutor. 2 copies of Polymorph. Transform target nearby minion into a frog token. Good hard removal. And Tawny is good with this because it says nearby, so you can fly Tawny to wherever you need this to be if they're trying to be sneaky and hide their stuff, and then you can turn it into a frog. And then finally, the main probably kill con for the deck is Ice Lance. Got 4 of them. 3-drop, shoot a piercing projectile, deal 3 damage, then 2 damage, then 1 up to 1 unit at each of the first 3 locations along its path. So again, with Tawny, it is very hard to hide from Ice Lance. Seeing Tawny's airborne and she can move diagonal, it's quite annoying. I have died to Ice Lance so many times in Sorcery, it's not even funny. It's a little funny. Anyway, that is my updated casual Druid Mud deck. Let me all know what you think about the deck down below. And if you have any spicy Druid lists, please share them. As usual, I'll have a link to the deck list to my Curiosa down below. Feel free to follow me on Curiosa if you want. I do post a lot of decks that I don't cover here on the channel that I only put on Curiosa to incentivize people to go check that out. And yeah, other than that, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, I'll catch y'all later.